Okay, Moose. I need to sit here. Cookie? Mom said the C word. What's this? What's that? That a big duster? Oh, here he comes. Let's talk about the process of finding a house.
Ooh.
In the worst possible time.
Worst possible.
To go house hunting. Was it 2 years? How long was it?
I think our process started about 2.5 years ago. At the peak of the pandemic.
That's when we started being a couple.
Yes. And then it was like 6 months later, we were like, we should live together. Let's start looking at the potential and what's out there. And then that's when all hell began.
All hell broke loose.
That's when the world just shut down and it became impossible for anything and everything.
Remember the houses that we saw online for sale that they wouldn't even let us go to? Our house is on the market and it's for sale, but due to the pandemic, you can't come and see it.
Yeah, you weren't even allowed
What?
to go to the house. You had to look at them and do like an open house online. You weren't allowed to go into somebody's house. Rightfully so.
Hey, remember that taco sauce that our dog ate?
There you go.
Taco sauce and a Bernie's Mountain Dog.
Not a good
combination.
Jeez.
So, all right. So 2020, we decided we wanted to buy a house.
Yeah.
We live in Western Massachusetts, and so we had this criteria of we wanted to live so far, within a certain distance from our parents.
Yep.
Because they're important. Family's important.
About a half an hour.
So we wanted to live like a half an hour max
Yeah.
from where they live. And we have work, obviously. I have at the time I had 4 locations. I still have 4 locations where I drive to for work regularly.
Yeah.
So that was a factor. Obviously, it's the 21st century, so high-speed internet and cell phone service.
Mandatory. And then we had to find somewhere that had a good school system for Maddie.
A good school system for Maddie. Okay. So we both downloaded Zillow. We
Yes.
downloaded, what was the other? Realtor app. We downloaded different apps. And the hunt was on. The 21st century hunt was on. Which felt an awful lot like online dating.
Yeah.
And one of the lessons that we learned right away was that it may look really good online, but then when we went to it, it was
A dumpster fire.
Do you remember the first house? Did we cry? Were there actual tears about this one? But the one near my sister
Yeah.
Katie's house.
Cried. That was the first heartbreak.
Legit set up an appointment to go look at it. And then in the meantime, between the time that we set up the appointment and the time that we got there, the time of our appointment, they had already accepted an offer.
And we're talking less than 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how it worked. It was like hours. Houses were on the market for hours. Not days, not weeks, not months. They were on the market, unless they were really terrible. Like, if they were unsellable, they would be on the market for a week. And then somebody would swoop in and buy cash and not care. Buy with cash and not care. But, so this house, this was actually the second house that we looked at.
Yes.
The first house was really sweet. It was just really weird, and we didn't think we could make it work. Do you want dog hair in your coffee?
No.
Just a little tail hair. It's okay.
It's Bernie glitter.
It's Bernie glitter. Come on, Bubba. Come on. You're a bit distracting.
A bit.
Okay, now lay down. There you go. So, the second house that we looked at. So it broke our heart because we loved it online.
Oh, everything
We
about
loved
it
it online.
was perfect.
Location, the land, the everything, the amount of bedrooms, it was new enough.
Yep.
And then it breaks our heart, because they had, and this is very, very, very early in the process, broke our heart because our realtor called us and said, hey, so the dummies seller, the dumb sellers accepted an offer before you guys even got to go see it. She said, but let's go see it anyway because this is real estate and sometimes deals don't go through.
Yeah.
So let's go see it anyway. So we did. And I remember driving up the driveway and just being like, wow, this place is a hot mess. Mm-hmm. It's a mess. Like, it looked like somebody used the garage door as a driving range. They were shooting golf balls at the garage door. And I'll never forget that crack in the foundation in the basement that went from, like, I don't think it went all the way up. I think it went up to a window.
Yeah.
Down to the floor, and it was
huge.
It was thick enough for me to put my finger in it. And that was like, to me, looking back, that was like setting the stage for what's to come in our search. Yeah. And then, since then, we went to viewings of 26 houses in person.
Yep.
We attended 15 open houses.
Yeah.
And in the will you stop eating the pillow? And in the next 2 years of house hunting, we put 8 offers on 8 houses. So, which means we actually made 9 offers.
Yeah.
Because there was one house that we were able to loop back around and we made a second offer on.
Dream house.
That was the dream. Okay, so let's talk about the dream house. So the dream house, Worthington,
oh
Mass.
Oh my God. Best, so instant, you like drove up to the driveway and you knew right away. You just had that like instantaneous feeling that this was the house.
Remember walking around? It was hilarious. We were like walking around and meeting other people at the open house, and you were like, "Oh no,
this needs a new roof. It's going to be about $50,000."
And then the other couple was like, "Oh no, we didn't notice that." Oh, but apparently
I was trying to psych them out.
Apparently, we weren't persuasive enough because we got outbid grossly on that house.
Yeah. Even
though we bid way out of, we bid what we thought we could afford at the time.
Yeah.
And early in the pandemic, early in this house hunt, the pandemic of the house hunt, we thought we had a ton of money. Right?
Thought we had a ton of money.
We were offering $400,000 plus for a house.
Oh, we went even higher than that.
But we were, because the banks, we had been pre-approved. The banks told us that we could borrow. There was one that we got pre-approved for borrowing
$600,000
plus our down payment.
And then we hadn't found a house yet, so they called Dana back and was like, "Oh, do you need more money? We'll just give you more money.
We'll just give you more money. If you can't find the house you want, just borrow more money."
We were like, "What?"
So, I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
And does Social Security, will that cover our mortgage payments?
There won't be Social Security by the time we retire.
I'll be 70 something years old, still paying for a house.
No way.
So, unfortunately, the society was telling us to just bid more than we should and be irresponsible. That was a thing that was on my list, was don't bite off more than we can chew, because I really don't want to set us up for failure, because it's just not, it wouldn't be sustainable.
No.
Hang on, we have matching, we should cheers.
Oh, you want to share?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. These were part of a wedding gift.
Was this a wedding gift?
Yeah. Cheers.
Who gave us these?
Yeah. Okay, so our dream house.
So I wrote down, actually, Shayna just found this. This was in one of my notebooks. Although I had another one saved to my phone.
I think they were both pretty identical, however.
Where was that saved in my phone?
But I think ultimately we both really had a few things that definitely differed, but really we were on the same page. It was, we wanted to be away from people, have lots of land, have a newer house that, didn't force us to put a ton of money into up front because we knew we weren't going to have it. We wanted to make sure that we had at least 3 bedrooms, so that way we could have a guest bedroom, or make it an office. What else did we want?
I mean, I had things on my list that weren't necessarily on your list, like a big garage, 10 acres at least. But I did put in here, this must have been before our wedding, big open flat area for our wedding.
We did, because at that point we had decided that prior and during the pandemic, we were hopeful that we could get married at our house.
But then that didn't happen. And then we were married, and we still didn't have a house.
Yeah.
We were legit living apart.
For
more than a year.
Over a year. It was
we got married in
14
September.
Months.
And then the following end of October. Almost, yeah. So it was...
it was like 13, almost 14 months that we didn't live together.
Married couple not living together, which...
was brutal.
I don't know. I kind of thought that's the secret to a healthy relationship. Can't argue.
The door's right there. You can leave. But pay the mortgage.
But look, I put hot tub for Shayna.
You did.
On my list.
That was one thing. He refused to have a house with a pool. And
that's right. Or a pond.
Or a pond.
A mosquito breeder.
Yeah, he didn't want anything that we were going to have a lot of mosquitoes. Yet my dream was to be able to go outside at the middle of the night and, you know, be able to be in a hot tub in the winter time or even in the summertime. Of course, having a 13-year-old, a pool would be ideal so that she can just go and jump in whenever she wants.
Literally every house that we looked at that had a pool, I put the kibosh on it.
Yeah, you did. Every single one. You're like, absolutely not. And then, funny story, it was what? Right before Christmas, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine that I used to work with, Tracy, and she was like, hey, so I have a pool that I'm giving away. Did you want it? And I was just like, oh my God, my husband's going to kill me. I'm like, but yeah.
New, unassembled.
In the box.
Still in the box.
Yeah, and so we were like...
25-foot full-size pool.
So I was like, yeah, okay, great. So called my dad. Dad, I need to borrow your truck. And lo and behold, we gifted my daughter a pool for Christmas. It was great.
So literally, one of the things that I turned down, how many houses...
we're
now getting. We already got the deck.
We do have a deck already.
The house came with a pool deck, just no pool. On my list, I got an hour from Pittsfield, because I have an office in Pittsfield. We are an hour from Pittsfield. An hour and a half plus the headquarters. So I give myself 2 hours to get there, but I'm always early, so we're about that. But where we really struck out is I wrote down 20 minutes, less than 20 minutes, from my mother, your father, and why did I put West Hampton? Oh, because of Maddie's grandparents. So my mother, your father, the shop, and etc.
My work.
Oh, your work. Yeah, I didn't put your work in here. Well, guess what? We are an hour from your work. We are an hour from my mother. We are an hour from your father.
Yeah.
And we are an hour from the garage.
Yep.
So we killed that one, but
destroyed that one. The one that we really set out being the most important too.
Yeah. Remember that house that we looked at near here? That was more money anyway, but there was a house that we looked at not even as far as
was it Worthington? It could have been Worthington.
I thought it was Russell.
I don't know. We did. We looked at one in Russell.
We looked at so many. I don't know where any of them were, but we looked at so many houses, and a lot of these houses... Remember the one in Northfield that we looked at?
Northfield. Oh my God.
The Northfield one was like 45 minutes, and we were like, no,
this is too far. Just too far. This is like, we'll never be able to do this commute every day.
So I've got great big garden, financially sustainable.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on here about having chickens, but I know that was on mine.
Yep.
It was must have chickens, and I was surprised to find that there's communities in Western Massachusetts where you still can't have chickens unless you have special zoning. Like you actually buy a legit pre-existing farm. I was surprised to see that.
I think that was one of the biggest things, though. We wanted the right to farm community. We wanted to be able to have chickens and have that ability just to be able to be self-sustaining. Because I think that's what ultimately this whole dream really started with. Sit down!
Okay, so let's talk about some of these homes that we visited, more of these homes that we visited that sucked.
So let's talk about the house that our first offer. So the house that we thought was our dream house.
Okay.
So again, we drove up to the house, instantaneously thought it was perfect. We walked inside, the kitchen was gorgeous, it had this huge like open, like living room. It had that big pool table in it. Maddie went and saw it with us, and it had the spiral staircase in it, and she thought that was the greatest thing ever.
It was cool. But I think the big selling point for us, it had 13 acres.
Yep.
And out the back, there was a deck with this really nice wire, gorgeous stainless steel wire railing, and it just, it opened up to show this incredible view.
Incredible.
That I could just imagine us having cups of coffee sitting on the deck.
Absolutely.
Just
it was
staring
gorgeous.
at the view.
It was absolutely gorgeous.
And the house wasn't perfect, don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
The house wasn't perfect. It needed paint. It did actually need some roof touch-up. I don't think it needed a whole new roof, but it wasn't flawless. And it was, I think at that time, it was right at the edge of what we thought we could afford.
I think it was priced at $405.
Was it that high? I thought it was in the 300, like 370 something. It doesn't matter.
I don't know, but either way, I think we bid well over 400 the first time we bid on the house. And then clearly didn't get it. And then it cycled back around where like some type of financial situation happened with those people that were going to purchase it, and we had the opportunity to bid a second time. And I think we bid even more, and I think we bid the most that we've ever bid on a house.
Was on that house, yeah.
Was on that house. And we still didn't get it by a couple $1,000s, I believe. And then come to find out that when you look at the listing of what it actually sold for, it sold for what we offered.
Yeah. That's how it works. Oh, the other thing that I hated about this process was the whole process. The whole real estate shopping process, where you'd spend 10 minutes walking through a property, you blindly make an offer. You might as well just throw any number out. And then the seller will pick the highest bidder or whoever they think is the most attractive based on the offer. Mm-hmm. So we could have just offered $1 million, pretended like we had $1 million in cash in our pocket, and then had the inspection, and then
said, okay, we're not paying that.
And then said, well, we're not paying that. It needs a roof. Our new offer is $300. We could have totally played the game, differently, that I felt uncomfortable doing. Could have offered more than we were,
way more,
willing to pay, and then just intentionally negotiated down once we sort of hooked them with the bait. And that obviously happened because some of the houses that we put offers on ultimately sold for less than our offer or at our offer.
Yeah. Frustrating.
And so
very,
it's
very
just
frustrating.
The game is just totally frustrating. And so you see a house for 10 minutes, and you have to decide in that 10 minutes, is this going to be our forever home? Is this going to be a house that we're going to literally spend our entire savings and
that's all you have. You have a 10-minute increment to make a life-changing, life-altering decision, and you don't know the ins and outs because it hasn't been inspected. It hasn't been, looked at super thoroughly. So I know when we went 9 times out of 10, my dad being a carpenter and having a ton of experience with like building houses and homes and, electrical and plumbing, we brought him with us because we're like, hey, look at this. Tell us if this is even something that's worth bidding on, because we didn't want to get screwed over. And a lot of people don't have that. So I think we were fortunate that some of those houses that we did look at, like the one that had the stream going through the basement. Who buys a house that has a stream going through the basement? I mean, it's just one of those things that we were really fortunate to have somebody that has that experience to help guide us a little bit.
That's true. And we were able to ask him, what would you be willing to help us fix?
Yeah.
And that, I think, to us was like, he's a real person. He's not a contractor. Yep. He's not infinitely rich. And so for us to ask him as a real person, like, what would it take to make this okay and livable or nice? And he could give us a straight answer as a real human being.
Yeah.
He also had a good idea of our standard of living.
Yeah.
Like he knew, that he knew what I think we were looking for.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're in the middle. I don't really know how to compare us to a normal person, but I feel like we're in the middle. Like we don't need a palace. We don't need really fancy things, but at the same time, like, this isn't our starter home.
No.
Even though we were looking at starter homes
Yep.
for overpriced starter homes for
Yeah.
2 years, this isn't going to be our starter home. This isn't going to be a temporary layover until we have more kids, because we're not having more. Well, yeah, we're going to have kid animals.
Yeah. Goats?
Lots
Aren't
of.
goats called kids?
They are. We could get kids
We could get a couple kids. Just go buy them at the goat store.
at the goat store. Goats are us.
But anyway, so some of the other houses we looked at, what about the pot house?
Which one?
Which one? There was two. No, the one that had all the security cameras.
Oh, yeah. The one that you walk in and it just stunk.
Yeah, and you felt uncomfortable, like you were being watched, because there was those security cameras on the trees right when you drove up into the driveway. Then they were on the house, like all four corners of the house.
And they weren't like, I mean, we have cameras here, but they weren't like residential.
No, this is like night vision, like I'm hiding something cameras.
This is like intimidation kind of cameras. Like,
Yeah.
like this must have been a serious security installation, and signs all over the place.
It was like no trespassing signs. Like
keep out signs.
It was uncomfortable just going to the house,
And
let
it
alone
stunk.
the house
It just
inside.
stunk like pot, and
you would have had to fumigate it.
Maybe someone who likes that smell, or someone who had COVID and lost their ability to smell. Maybe bought
that house.
But
and then there was the other one where they had the huge pot greenhouse in the backyard.
They had greenhouses. They had 2 commercial greenhouses with hydroponics.
Yep.
And actually, that house is a good conversation, not just because of the greenhouses in the back. That was like, oh.
But that could have given us. That could have been really.
That would have
had a
been
lot
great.
of potential.
That would have been great for it. That really would have been great for us. But that house was built in the 1800s, and it had a barn, which I was excited about until I saw it in person, because the barn had heaved, and it had like all these steel pylons that were driven into the ground that the barn was built on, but they all had moved and shifted, and so the barn was all the wrong angles.
Yeah.
It had a detached garage that
had a huge hole.
That had it had a huge hole in the floor, and it had an addition that was falling in.
Yeah.
The original part of the barn was okay. The original part of the garage looked okay-ish. That house was really sweet inside. It was gorgeous inside. But
it was also very close to the road, and by close to the road, I mean probably 8 feet off of the main road.
That's true.
Like, you would walk out your front door pretty much into the street.
That's true.
Oh, the Windsor house. So remember that's the house that had that crazy loft walkway?
Oh, right.
That had the 2 bathrooms right next to each other?
I wanted to like that house. The property was perfect.
The property was perfect.
Long dirt driveway through the trees.
And remember, it was the first snow of the year, too, because it had just started to, like little snowflakes were coming down as we were leaving.
Aww. It was really sweet. Sweet little house. We could afford it.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It was really nice.
They spent some time making it nice. But it was weird.
The setup was very strange.
So it had an original, used to be a one bathroom house. Yeah. And they put an addition on it. And in the process of putting the addition on it, they turned an old bedroom into another bathroom. A really nice.
Really nice.
Big, really nice bathroom. Gorgeous. So the problem with it is, one of the problems with it is, so now you have the original closet-sized bathroom from the 70s or 80s or whatever it was, unimproved bathroom. Right next door, one door away from this brand new
huge bathroom,
bedroom-sized huge bathroom.
On the same floor.
Same floor, literally next door down in the same hallway.
Yep.
And so it was advertised as a 2-bathroom, and it was a 2-bathroom house. But what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, like you go upstairs, so then there was that 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms upstairs, kind of, and there was like that one kind of like living room area, and then it walked out into like this walkway that overlooked your living room. So it was kind of like a loft, but it was just a walkway.
It was a narrow...
A very, 3-foot walkway over the living room.
And it's not like it was a hallway going to something else. It just went to a wall.
It just went to a wall.
The end of it was a wall.
It was very odd. There was the Conway house that was the ice luge house.
Oh, the ice luge house. Okay, so pro tip. If you're selling a house and the driveway is a hill, maybe clear the ice off the driveway if you're trying to sell it to someone who can't scale an ice wall.
Yeah, because both of us, plus our realtor, almost took a tumble completely down this.
We didn't even take the driveway. We parked on the road and then we walked up the snow next to the driveway.
Snow.
It was a luge. And that house...
I don't remember anything about the house other than it had that chicken coop up on the ledge. Don't remember anything about the house other than running into somebody we knew.
I remember the in one of the bedrooms there had been a water leak in the floor, the bedroom floor, the wood floor was had buckled.
That's the one thing I remember about the house though. Was
not just driveway. A little buckle. It was but yeah, that driveway, it definitely isn't a good first impression to make if you can't get to the house that you want to look at.
And then, so then we had the swamp basement one. So that's the one that had the stream running through.
Stream running through the basement.
That had, tree trunks as footer, or as, lolly columns for the house. Very strange. So then we saw that house in Northfield, next to the power lines.
Okay, so let's talk about power lines. That's not on the list, but that should have been on the list. No power lines. Okay, so the Northfield house is really nice.
Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, we put an offer on that.
20 acres?
Yeah.
No, we didn't end up putting it on.
Oh no, that's the other one. That's the Montague house.
So it had 20 acres. But the problem is it had these high tension power lines that cut through the property. And so what that did is it took a 100-foot wide swath of property end to end through this lot, through this property that was now untouchable. You can't do anything with it because it's a utility easement. Yep. And the beauty of it, sarcastically, is that 100-foot swath wasn't even at the edge of the 20 acres.
In the middle.
It went, so you had a 100-foot swath, then you had 100 feet on the other side that was not inaccessible, but unusable. And so we would be sitting in the house and...
You'd have utility trucks coming up
your backyard.
Or people used it for four-wheeling.
Sure, which is what I would want to use it for, but I don't think...
we don't want other people on our property.
We don't want the liability of it. But it just made... So it made 10 acres of a 20-acre lot.
Yep,
although we're buying it and paying for it and insuring it and everything, it would make it unusable for us.
Yep. And so then we went to the house in Montague.
Oh, the Montague house.
Which was gorgeous. We absolutely, truly loved this house. So when we went and saw it the first night, when we saw it on Zillow, we were like, oh my gosh, we gotta go. So it was 5 o'clock at night, and it was gonna get dark, and we didn't care. We drove up to this house in the middle, it's dark.
It's dark.
And it's an hour away. And we didn't care, so we drove all the way there. We loved it. And then we decided, okay, we're actually going to want to see it. So we made the appointment, went and saw it, and we were, in love with it. It was, perfect.
Even with its quirks, and it was quirky.
But, downside, the same set of power lines that ran through the previous house that we just talked about, same set of power lines ran through this property.
It didn't run, it abutted it.
You could still see it and
hear
it. You could
see it and hear it, yep. You could hear the humming and the crackling of the same set of power lines.
Yeah.
Miles away, but you could still, they were right there.
But the house was gorgeous.
We were cursed by high tension power lines. But even that house, we loved it, even though in the basement it had this huge boulder that they didn't blast out of the way or jackhammer or whatever. They just poured the concrete for the basement floor, right up to it, all the way around it. So in the middle of the basement,
there's just a rock.
Just a big rock sticking up through the concrete.
We saw that house in Greenfield. The one right up the hill. The one that had the dog grooming business.
That was nice, right on the Mohawk Trail.
Yeah.
And it had a nice couple of outbuildings.
And this one again.
You look at the online listing.
photos.
The online listing, and it was a nice house. I would have loved that house.
Yeah.
But online listings talk about the big, expansive, beautiful wraparound deck. And we got there to look at it, and the deck was so rotted that we were afraid to walk on it. And when we walked on it, we were like...
It was making some creaky, crunching noises.
We were making sure to walk on the supports, not on the boards.
Yeah, you thought you were going to fall through.
Now, also a little more context about that is, so we're not afraid of doing some carpentry work.
Not at all.
A deck, okay. But this also was at the same time as the whole supply and demand issue
for lumber.
That blew lumber prices out of this world. And so we're standing there with calculators looking at how many thousands of dollars it would have costed us to fix this deck ourselves. And it was like, we can't afford this. We can't afford the cost of this house plus this deck. And
then there was the dog grooming business.
The half burnt down dog grooming building.
So in these detached buildings that were all over the property, there was like a lean-to that had bats in it. And then there was this huge detached garage that looked like it was all right. You couldn't go in it. And then there was this other building that was like a former dog grooming place. Well, it was all roped off. You couldn't go in because it had almost burnt down. Like, it was like singed. There was windows busted out. Would have probably been a great little location to have some type of like at-home business, but
yeah, it would have been nice. I could have run my sign business out of there.
Absolutely.
Would have made a really nice little workshop.
But that project. Oh, and it had a mosquito breeding pond.
Oh, that's right, and it had a pond.
Yeah.
Big pond. Big man.
Pond.
I think it was man-made.
Yeah.
Stagnant water right in the front yard of the house.
But it would have been a great house had we had enough money to invest in fixing all of the things that were wrong.
Remember the photos? The photos online made it look majestic.
And it was so nice.
It was a nice house. But the photos online, and when they put a real estate listing, they always point out all these things. Nice, beautiful, grand deck.
The beams, like the wood beams that were inside of the house. But then there was that weird thing, because there was the master bedroom, and you had to walk through the master bedroom to get to the living room.
Oh, that's right.
So that was strange, too. I didn't like that layout.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
Oh, the Waitley house on the conservation land.
Oh, right. That's a fun one.
That's another fun one.
Oh, my God.
Basically, this house was right on the main road in Waitley and kind of set back. However, it was part of some conservation land. So it was very swampy. It was very wet. And the seller's real estate agent basically told us it's part of this conservation. So if you want to cut down a tree or you want to plant a shrub or anything, you have to ask for approval.
Yeah. Conservation Commission has to give you written approval to make any modification to the landscape.
But the worst part is we really liked the house.
The house was fantastic.
The house was gorgeous, like absolutely gorgeous. But we couldn't, if we wanted to do something, we couldn't be bound to...
We wouldn't be able to have chickens.
Nothing.
Oh, and so it was part of the wetlands.
Yeah.
The mosquitoes were basically carrying us away.
Yeah,
at that
they were
place.
really bad.
So that was a deal breaker.
What other houses did we look at? The one by my dad's?
I remember calling you and saying, hey, so there's an open house right near your dad's house.
Down the street. Like, literally, you could yell and you could hear it.
And it was a ranch, right? And it was on half an acre or something.
Probably like a quarter of an acre.
And it was just small, 1,000 square feet, which is small for us. And I called you and I said, hey, let's go to this open house.
Let's just do it.
And I swear you got so mad at me.
Yeah.
I instantly regretted it because you were like...
No. So let's be real as to why. So, it fit the criteria of being really local. We wouldn't have to change my daughter's going to school somewhere different. It was really close to my dad's, like, again, down the street. It was really close to his mom. And so it checked off all of these boxes, except It literally was the size of like a postage stamp. It was so little. However, this is the problem with this house. Dana's grand, these are all of the things that I want. 10 acres. I want a farm. I want chickens. I want this. I want that. This house checked none of those boxes. It checked
literally zero of these boxes.
I'm sitting here like, this is what we want. Why are we settling for something that we don't want?
How many houses? And I'm how many houses did we say no to? And then here I am saying, this house looks nice.
And I was just like, screw you, buddy. Like, I think I cried because I was so angry.
You were so mad.
I was so angry because I was like, who the hell are you right now? This isn't anything that we had talked about. This is nothing that you wanted. Why are we even remotely going to look at this other than it's literally down the street from my dad?
Because if you think about the timing, we had been beat up.
We had been so beat.
We had been beat up and just emotionally beat up over houses for almost 2 years at that point, a year and a half or something. Yeah. And it was just like, you know what? We're married and we don't even have an address that's the same. Like, should we just say screw it? Well,
and just settle.
This tiny little house on a postage stamp lot, which is the opposite of what we were looking for so long. Should we just offer them the amount of money for that house that we were going to buy one of these big estates for, and just settle and
try again in 5 years?
We could be together. The answer was no. Ultimately.
The answer,
but I threw it out there.
No.
You can't say that I wasn't being open-minded about where we were going.
Do you want to lie to people right now?
At that one moment.
Do you want to lie to people right now? Open-minded, my ass. Then we went to look at one in Holyoke right after that.
Which one was that?
That was gorgeous kitchen. Like, gorgeous kitchen. Oh my gosh. It was on that road that oh gosh, how do I explain it? Like,
oh, I know which one. It was
white house, gorgeous kitchen, like kind of small property, but it was really nice.
Is that the one that had the really weird bathroom in the basement?
Yeah.
Really little, tiny, like...
And it was like a weird setup in the basement.
But why didn't we like that one?
It was Holyoke and we couldn't have chickens.
Oh, that's right. It was in a no chicken zone.
Mm-hmm. We looked at the other house in Worthington that was down the street from our original dream house.
Yeah, we put an offer in on that one.
That one was lovely. Like, lovely. It had this huge horse pasture. Like, huge. All fenced in. Not that we would ever have horses, but it was massive. And it would have been a great place for Dana to have. Had a huge barn. A huge place for Dana to have a shop. And work on cars and things like that. And the bedrooms were really big. They just had a lot of these weird alcoves.
Yeah, that house would have been nice.
It would have been really cute.
But we got grossly outbid there, too. Let's make sure we talked about all the good ones.
I feel like they all start to blur together because we've looked at so many.
We've looked at so many houses.
And just because we went and looked at some of these doesn't mean we didn't actually look at hundreds more online. Hundreds.
Every day, like we were obsessed, like we were just crazy people.
To the point where you would get mad and say, we just need a break. We have to stop looking.
It's true.
And so you would be like, we can't do this anymore. We need to take a break. Like, I don't even want to look at houses anymore. And I would be like, we can't give up. We have to keep trying.
How many houses...
It was defeating.
How many houses did we look at that had yards that were suitable for goats? Meaning they were just rocky, hilly ledges, and if you were to drop a basketball anywhere, it would have been gone forever. I mean...
Most.
A lot of these houses, and I guess that's the nature of living in the hill towns, although a lot of these houses weren't technically in the hill towns, is that the properties were just useless.
Oh, I got another house. The West Hampton house.
Oh, I didn't go to that one. Did you go with your dad to that one?
No, you went to that one, the one with the well.
Oh, that one. I did go with you to that one.
We did go.
The creepiest well.
The creepiest well.
That was creepy.
Yep. It had this outdoor well, and they built this little, like, house over it. But it was just so creepy that they wouldn't have just, like, capped it off. You could just, like, fall right into it.
That was really creepy. We'd have to get a dog like Lassie to come and get help for anyone who fell down in there.
Timmy fell in the well.
Oh, I got a note here about the one in Whately, an ancient farmhouse with Tetris bedrooms. Do you remember that? Yeah. So it's like a 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house that somebody had bought and renovated. Mm-hmm. And the bedrooms, first of all, to get up the stairs, you go up to the top of the stairs that were like had a vaulted ceiling, so you're walking up the stairs hunched over. You get to the top of the stairs and you take a hard left. I don't know. You must have been able to fit a twin-size mattress up there. But nothing bigger than a twin size.
Nothing bigger than that.
You'd have to sleep on inflatable beds. No way to get a couch or a recliner up there.
Nothing.
And then the 3 bedrooms were all really weird, small, like, sections that looked like Tetris pieces. Mm-hmm. And there was, like, nowhere to fit anything.
It started,
so let's talk about the week. Let's talk about the week that we had that led to this house that we're sitting in right now.
What a week.
That the bank now owns.
Absolutely
started
crazy roller coaster of a week.
Was it Saturday or Sunday? We went to an open house.
In Southampton.
And it was not amazing. It wasn't love. It was a settle. It was a settle. It was good enough. And so we decided we'd put an offer in. Mm-hmm. And at this point, so we told our realtor we want to put an offer in. And she said, okay, you should call the bank and get an updated pre-approval letter. Because, remember, this is 2 years has passed. Mm-hmm. And we called probably every 6 months or so. Yeah. We'd call the bank and say, hey, we're still house hunting. Can we have a new pre-approval letter with a fresh date on it so that it looks like we're still eligible? So the open house was that weekend. Kathy says, call the bank, let's get an updated pre-approval letter. Yep. So I call Monday morning, and she put the offer in even without the updated pre-approval. She just went ahead and did it. Yep. And she had no idea what was about to transpire this week. I don't think any of us had any idea.
Oh, man, no.
So I called the bank, and I talked to literally the same loan officer that we had been dealing with for 2 years. And I said, hey, it's Dana, and we're putting an offer in on yet another house, and we would like an updated pre-approval letter to make it look like we are still in the running. And he said, I'm sorry, who is this?
And to be fair, this is the same bank that when I was 5 years old, I opened my first savings account through my elementary school with. This is the bank that my parents use, that my brother uses, that my sister uses, that Dana himself uses.
Not just the same bank. This is the same branch. Yeah. This is the very building.
The hometown bank that everybody in that town starts their bank with.
My mother has banked there since the 70s. Yeah. I, in the 80s, had my first savings account. When I was a baby, my mother set up a savings account for me there. And small hometown, how far, walking distance from your childhood house?
5 minutes to walk there.
So I talk to literally the same guy that I've talked to for the last 2 years about this mortgage. And he legit answers me with, I'm sorry, who's this? Yeah. And then I go through this process of what feels like trying to convince him that we've already spoken. And that we have a pre-approval already. And he at first couldn't even find us. Yeah. Couldn't even find our information.
Any information.
So then he calls me back and he says, oh, I found you here. Okay, so we'll need you guys to reapply. Go through the whole process again. For the reapplication for a pre-approval. Not a mortgage. For a pre-approval for a mortgage. Yeah. So on the phone, he's asking me, how much do you make? What's in your savings? How much does Shayna make? What's in her savings? What's your current, expenses? Stuff like just all those basic numbers.
We're like, buddy, we just put an offer on a house.
So then he says, so I have income from different streams, different businesses. I have two actual W-2s at the end of the year, and my side hustles. Shayna's actually got one career.
One career, just one.
But we've both been established in
You act like me having one career for the last 13 years is a bad thing.
People don't do that anymore. Americans don't do that. So anyway, so where I got to the point where I was like, my income comes from multiple sources. He like paused and he said, well, then you're not going to qualify.
Yeah. So that was the start to our week.
And I was like, I don't understand. What? And he said, well, we can try, but your income comes from multiple places, and I don't think this is gonna, I'll put it through. I'll put the application through, but I think you're gonna get denied. The numbers just don't add up. And I was like, you don't add up.
Yep.
Literally. Anyway, so
that started the week.
So that was the beginning of the week. And luckily, we got outbid on that house.
Yeah.
Anyway, we bid asking price on the house because we were like, we weren't in love. We were like, whatever, maybe we'll get lucky. So we bid asking price.
Yeah.
Fully assuming we were going to get outbid.
Yeah.
So that was.
So then we got that phone call letting us know we were outbid and that we didn't get it.
And we acted surprised.
And we're like, yay!
No, I don't even think we acted. We were just like, yeah, not surprised.
We're like, not surprised. So then
when?
In the meantime.
Oh, so in the meantime.
No, in the meantime, we decided, okay, screw this bank, and I'm not going to plug them because they don't deserve it. So screw this bank, and we have to find a new mortgage company. So we, jumped on Facebook, and we're like, hey guys, like who do you guys recommend to, get your mortgage through? And hands down, I think multiple people were like, go through Applied Mortgage.
Applied Mortgage in Northampton. And not only were our friends just saying Applied Mortgage.
Yeah.
Should we be plugging them? Should we be promoting them? This is not sponsored by Applied Mortgage.
No, it's not.
But our friends not only were putting, the business name, but they were saying, call so-and-so at Applied Mortgage. Yeah. Here's their number.
Yeah.
They were like calling us and saying, hey, you got to call this place. You got to call these. They were going out of their way to recommend this place.
So we call.
So we call on like Tuesday, and I leave a voicemail.
Yeah. They
call back on Wednesday, and I had the most uplifting conversation in this whole process.
I think it started to make us really hopeful again. Like, just one conversation with people that were like, we're going to make this happen for you. Like, we're going to figure it out. And I think that kind of set the bar for Wednesday afternoon. And so then you get home, and I'm like, hey, so I just found this house that came back on the market. It's kind of far away, and I was hemming and hawing about even mentioning it to you because of how far it was. And I was like, I don't even know where this town is,
so this is the third time this has been on the market. Well, the first time it never really hit the market, but it sold when you and I first started looking at houses. Yeah. And it wasn't on the market, so I guess we didn't know about it. But it sold to someone. Yeah. And then it went back on the market.
And then financing fell through.
Went back on the market a year and a half later. Yeah. Financing fell through. So here it is. Round three. And yeah, so I was like, okay, let's go. Like, it's kind of far, but let's go take a look at it. Or let's see if we can even go take a look at it. And at this point, I was just like, oh my
whatever.
God.
Like, another one, great.
All right, we'll go get our hearts broken again.
So
fine.
We looked at the pictures, and we kept looking at the pictures, and everything about it just seemed like cozy and kind of checked pretty much every box that we had even thought we wanted.
Yeah.
And so we make the appointment for Thursday. Did we go on a Thursday? Or did
it was
we go
Friday.
There? So we went on. Oh yeah, because we went. Yeah. So we went and looked at it Friday morning, and.
But let's back up to the fact that during these 2 years of house hunting, the struggle would start at texting our realtor and saying, hey, we want to look at this house.
Yeah.
Because then finding a time that the three of us could do it together sometimes would take 2 days.
Yeah.
And that means that house is off the market already.
Basically.
And so a lot of times we would look at houses with just the two of us, or just one of us.
Yeah,
because we couldn't wait.
My schedule's crazy. My schedule's all over the place. I don't necessarily have set days off, whereas Dana's is more fluid, where he has the ability to have more days.
Sometimes, but there'd be days when I was teaching in Boston, and And so Kathy would say, "Hey,
well,
can
I
you
only
do it
go
on
Thursday?
Can you
so
do
it's
it on
okay.
Thursday?
It's just me.
They're accepting offers until noon on Thursday, so we got to go Thursday morning." And it's like, "Well, I'm out."
Yep. So I go. But it was just such a struggle all the time to find a day when both me and you could make it work. Like I would go to work late, or I would come in, I would have to switch my schedule around just so that way, I would be able to go see them.
But this one was different.
This
just was Kathy
easy.
Texted us and said, "Hey, how about Friday at 10 a.m.?"
We're like, okay.
We were both like, "Yep,
okay,
we can be there."
We got there.
No juggling.
Yeah.
So Friday at 10 a.m., we're on our way here.
Yeah.
We're in Kathy's car. Do you remember this? We're in Kathy's car. I'm in the front seat. You're in the back seat. Did your dad come to that one?
Did he?
The first time that we looked at this place?
No. Dad didn't come. It was just us.
And I'm pretty sure he came.
He did.
I don't remember. But anyway, so you're in the back seat, and Kathy and I are just chatting in the front, and I hear you say, as we're driving down the dirt road on our way here, I heard you say in the back seat, "Oh no, Dana's in love with this road."
Yeah. So
was that on my list?
So
dirt
to
road?
to kind of explain that.
There's
so
no
he
dirt
was
road.
always like, I want to live in the middle of nowhere. I want to live in the middle of nowhere. I don't want neighbors. I want it to be kind of in the woods.
And I want to live on a dirt road.
Yeah.
I don't know why dirt roads are so romantic to me.
We turn off of pavement. And as soon as we hit the dirt road, I'm just like, instantly like, this is where Dana's going to want to live. Like, we didn't even see the house yet. Because to get to the house is this, like, insanely treacherous hill. And you cross over a stream. And then you turn onto the actual street's dirt road.
Goat path.
And our driveway's a dirt road.
Our driveway's nicer than our actual road is.
It is. But it's all dirt, and it's like surrounded by trees and like 3 neighbors maybe, and
you wouldn't know they exist.
Yeah, you don't even know they exist because we never see them, but they're wonderful. The ones that we have met, they have been absolutely wonderful. But it just was instantaneous that this is like,
so I'm
this
giggling,
is what Dana wants.
I'm giggling thinking, this is my neighborhood, this is where I belong right here. And I hear Shayna mumbling in the back, "Great, Dana's in love."
Yep. How the hell am I going to get to work every day? That was like.
So we get here. So we get here. We pull in the driveway, and we're just looking around like, "Oh my God, the view!
The view!
Oh, the view of the mountains!" So we're just like the trees, the open area. So we pull in, we park, and I see over there is the detached garage.
Yeah.
And so we park, we get out of the car, and I just said to everyone else, I said, "You guys go figure out how to get into that house. I'm going to go look at this garage." Mm-hmm. So I go over to the garage, and I open the door, assuming that I would just see the inside of a garage. And I open the door, and this massive dog pops out. And I just think, I swear, I thought, and this is how I die.
Yep.
But the dog ended up being
the sweetest freaking dog.
So sweet.
Oh my
she just stood there wagging her tail, looking
like,
up at me.
Love me.
Hi, you're a nice human.
Like
just so nice. Not jumping, not drooling,
didn't even bark.
Just so chill, just looking up at us. And so I was like, okay, all right. So that was okay.
So then we like push past the dog, and we turn to the right, and there's like this whole box of puppies.
Week and a half old
box
puppies.
Of little Bernese Mountain Dog puppies with their eyes closed still, and you just hear them making these like little like yeep, 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 oh my God, it was so cute. How could you not be instantly in love? So
obviously the story ends there. We had to buy the house.
It doesn't end there, but I made a really funny, at the time, just funny comment that was like, this is it, like, this is what sold me on the house. I don't care about anything else. We're going to buy it.
And of course we were joking, throw a dog in. And
I was like, throw a puppy into the mix and we're sold.
Because remember, a lot of our discussions about a house were, can we have a dog here that we can just, let out in the backyard and put a fence up?
Yep. And so, after loving on the puppies for a little while, we actually came in and checked out the house, and was exactly like the pictures. It was not this, the pictures did the house justice for once. Like, it was actually what it said it was.
It was accurately represented.
And the wife of, the owner, she was here. And she was here with her little baby. And, we were able to chit-chat with her for a little bit. And she was so freaking sweet.
She was so nice to us.
And her little boy was just so... oh, God, he's just perfect.
He was just sitting there
He was giggling and he was
smiling.
just so precious. And, like... we got to like chit chat about how like the house and how long they had lived here and just things like that and
why they were leaving.
Yeah, and
where they were going to, and she was just she the dog and she. I mean, between the two of them, it just made it feel like
home. Like we had to have the house.
And so personal, where every other house, it's so detached.
Yeah.
You don't get to ask questions of the seller. You don't get to ask, hey, what's the story with this place?
Yeah.
And so right out of the get-go, and you walk into a house and you're like thinking, okay, what are they covering up?
Yeah.
Because on the listing online says that it's got all this great stuff. Where's the bull?
Yeah, and there wasn't.
There was no fluff. The pictures showed the house exactly how the house looked when we got here.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a grimy feeling about it.
No.
And the house was and still is a little bit of a fixer-upper. It was move-in okay. It was move-in. I'm not going to say move-in ready because we cleaned up a little bit before we moved in.
Yeah.
But it was good enough for us to just paint, put a little trim up, and we moved in.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that whole sentence? I forget.
I don't know, but it was perfect. And it was just like so... you just got that feeling like this is it. Like this is the one. So we left.
We went home.
We didn't want to leave, but we left.
That's right. We were here a little bit longer.
Oh, we were here much longer than normal. And so we went home and we immediately went back to Kathy's. Mm-hmm. And we put the offer in.
And for some reason, Kathy persuaded us to offer asking price.
Yeah. She was just like...
she was confident that these people are so nice that if it wasn't enough, ultimately they were going to call us up and say,
look, let us know.
They would let us know. And so she just said, offer asking price.
And so we did.
And we went to your dad's house that night.
Yep, we went to my dad's.
We're sitting on the back deck.
Yep, and we had some wine, and I don't think we knew that we were going to get the phone call that day. And we felt so hopeful. Because I think I'm crying now.
Oh, no. I'm scrolling through the text messages because I want to find... Okay, here we go. Okay. September 2nd, 7:04 p.m. We are sitting on your dad's porch, on your dad's
drinking a glass of
deck, drinking a glass of wine. Who knows what we're chewing our fingernails up to our elbows because this house wasn't a compromise other than the commute. This house wasn't a compromise. This house was love. And we had this hope that got started by, I feel like it got started by that Wednesday when Applied Mortgage called us and they said, no, we'll put this together. There's no reason why you should be, based on what you told us, there's no reason why you should be denied.
And Thursday they came back and called us and were like, yeah, it's all set.
Yeah, 2 thumbs
up. Good to go.
And they pre-approved us for way more than what we were even willing to offer on a house. So we're back in the game. We have hope again. So then Friday, 7 p.m., we get this text message from our realtor. Accepted. Open house canceled. Remember they had an open house scheduled here?
For the next day.
For the next day? Open house canceled. Start calling home inspectors. And my reply was, praise our Lord and Savior, baby Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because it was
September 2nd.
So it was right before our wedding anniversary.
Right before our 1-year wedding anniversary.
Yep.
And that was your response. Perfect wedding anniversary gift with 1,000 exclamation points. And there were tears. Tears were had that night. Tears are being had right now.
They're trying so hard.
So let's talk about negotiation. So the couple, the sellers,
oh god,
were so sweet. They were so nice,
lovely.
and I don't think they realize how much we appreciate them.
Even to this day, because we know we can call them.
So they accepted our offer. I guess we did have a fresh pre-qual letter at that point from the new mortgage company, and they canceled the open house, which at that point in time was crazy because
you would never cancel.
Someone could have come in from somewhere else with a pocket full of money and offered cash
way more than we did.
So they canceled the open house. I remember when we came back later on, there was a big sign outside that said open house canceled.
Yeah.
And so we went through all the usual. We had a home inspector come, and he of course found things, and it was a very discouraging day. But we got past that, and so I think that day we were frustrated. But then after we sort of calmed down,
because then we had people come. So not just we had the home inspector come, and then we brought people up here to take a look
at the roof and look at the porches
and look at the chimney. And basically kind of put us back at ease and say, okay, listen, these are fixable things. These are things that we can fix, or we know people that can fix, and they're not going to be as bad as you think they are.
Couple $1,000
versus what we initially thought was going to be.
I thought it was going to be $100,000, but a couple $1,000 to button it up nice enough to last us several more years, not forever, but more time. So we. Our realtor, so Kathy said, why don't you, since there's a list of things, why don't you see if you can talk them down some money? Say, this is still the inspection period. The worst they can do is say no.
Yeah.
So that's when we came up with the idea. Maybe we had come up with this idea long before.
I think we had come up with the idea long before.
But we proposed we get a puppy from that litter of adorable puppies.
Yep. So and this is really why. So we had talked about a dog on so many occasions, getting a dog and getting Maddie a dog and really wanting a puppy. I don't think we initially had wanted a puppy this quick.
Yeah. But
I think we had maybe down the line we were really thinking about getting a dog. But this just fell into our lap. And, we thought this couple was just so lovely that it was just really important to us to maybe get a piece of their family to stay with the house. So that's why I think, at least in my mind, that's why I think it was really important to us to make sure that we negotiated for a puppy. And
we got Moose. That's where Moose came from.
Yeah, that's where
Moose has literally lived here his entire life.
Yeah. He's been here longer than we have.
He has.
So it was a couple weeks later. He was probably only 4 weeks old when we came and saw him that second time. Probably. And he was already huge.
We thought he was huge then.
Yeah. But Maddie picked him out because he has this little Swiss kiss, this little white spot on the top of his head. So he's the only one. So he was easily, recognizable amongst his brothers and sisters. So we had the choice between a female or a male. And I think we just decided a male because it was going to be easier, or we thought it was going to be easier.
I don't know. I think we just liked him. He just
he was just super chill.
Snuggled with us.
Yeah, he was very chill.
So we picked
he's still
him.
Really chill.
And that was also, we spent more time with the sellers.
Yeah.
Which made it more personal. When you move into a home, I feel like the people who were here before are woven into the fabric of this house. And so for us to be able to connect
with them,
the history, and connect with them, it just made us feel a lot better moving in. And I just love the history of learning about how this house was built and the family that built it, and learning about this couple who lived here in between.
It was great. It was just really nice to get to know them. And like I said, if Dana needs something or doesn't know how to do something, they're just a phone call or a text away, and they always answer, they always respond, and they always kind of come to the rescue, with
with things that we need or things that we have questions about. And it's really great to have that relationship to be able to do that, because most people don't get that. Like, most people, when you buy a house, you never see the seller. You never even...
It's so impersonal.
You never get to meet them. You never get to know anything about them other than most likely their name, because it's on all the documents that you have to sign when you sign your life away.
You know what I think about? Like, when we were looking at houses and walking through strangers' homes, I kept thinking things like, who died here?
Yeah.
You know, what's the story? What's the story of what happened in this room? Was there tragedy, or was there delight? You know, was somebody proposed to in this room in the past? And so that intrigues me.
Yeah.
And so just having connections with the past in this house was
it's nice. It's nice to know.
Was really nice. So then we picked up Moose. Moose was old enough for us to pick up the day before we closed.
Yeah, the day before.
So the day before. Oh yeah, that's right. Because we came for our final walkthrough. We met with the sellers again.
Yep.
Which is rare, and so he handed over the puppy, and we played with the puppy in the yard, and we did our final walkthrough. But at that point, you know, there wasn't much.
I think we were so distracted by the dog too that it could have been.
It could have been burnt to the ground, and we probably would have said, "That's okay."
Yeah.
But everything was okay, and it just felt like everything had integrity, and it was just so organic.
It was just
this process. It was so amazing how our hunt went from frustrating every step of the way, from the first inklings from the first steps of seeing a house, to this house was just easy to see.
Easy.
It was easy to be at. It was comforting and homey, and then it's just all the pieces was like, hey, can we negotiate a puppy into the deal? Okay.
Yeah. It was just.
That's it. Just okay.
That whole week, I think leading up to it had just been so difficult and had just been so wrought with so many emotions, from, just everything and all that buildup to it just released the floodgates on Friday when they told us we were accepted. And then the process from there, being accepted to getting into the house, was a month, maybe a month and a half, almost, maybe 2 months, which I felt like was...
Oh, it's eternal.
It was just so long. But, I think it just was so easy.
It was easy.
That's the only and the best way to describe it. It was just so easy that it felt like it was meant.
It was a fight until this house came along. And this house seemed to sell itself to us.
Yeah.
Moose, I was sitting there. Let's talk about some of the things that we did when we were so frustrated that we couldn't find homes.
Went to Florida.
Yeah, we went to Florida. We went to Hawaii.
For our honeymoon.
For our honeymoon, but our house hunting was just so annoying that we didn't make a career out of it. We're like, screw this, we're going to Hawaii.
Yep.
We did. We went to Florida. We had planned the trip to Florida, assuming we would never find a house ever.
And then we could talk about that. We went after
a week after this offer was accepted.
Yeah, we're like, oh fuck.
We went to Florida, during our inspection period.
Yeah.
I was so discouraged that I bought
a
big trailer. I bought a cargo trailer, because we had so much stuff with all of our wedding gifts. We had appliances. We had all this stuff that we had jammed in storage here and there that we had to, I was just sort of thinking, I don't want this to be in storage forever. I feel like I'm overstepping my welcome. I'm overstaying my welcome where we had things stashed. So I went and I bought a Gigantor trailer to put all of our stuff in. And I bought that. It ended up being a month before we ended up getting this house anyway.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if taking some of these chances of being all right, we'll never find a house, so let's
just do it.
Let's spend our money on vacations, and let's buy this trailer so that the pressure is off of these other areas in our life.
And it just freed up.
It freed up the universe to say, hey, here's a house.
Yeah.
What's funny is we can't even get that trailer here right now.
I know. Yeah, you can say that. That's funny. Hi. You're a good boy. Good boy. Okay.
It would require a really, really big truck.
To get that trailer.
Like a 6-wheel drive truck to get that trailer to our house at this moment. Okay, advice for other people who may be currently looking for a home or a homestead, and they're frustrated and they're feeling what we've felt in the last 2 years. What do we have for advice for them?
Be patient. Be patient. I think if I have learned anything from this entire process, it would be to just be patient and not give up. Because there is a house out there for you. There is that perfect house that's going to check your boxes. You just have to be patient. And don't get discouraged, because like with anything, you're going to get told no over and over and over and over again. But it's that determination and just that ability to stay, focused and driven, and you'll get there. It's going to take a lot of no's before you get a yes. And it's how you bounce back, and how, you just got to keep that motivation to make it happen.
So long story short, at first when you were saying that, I was thinking it's like business. It's like try not to be emotional. Just think about everything logically and be patient. But then where my mind just went as you kept talking was, this is like dating. It's like dating is looking for your dream spouse, and you just keep on going on all these dates, and you keep on looking at the apps, and you keep on swiping left and right and having all these missed connections and all these strikeouts.
Would you still swipe right or left for me?
What do you do?
I don't know. Do you swipe right if you like the person, or left if...
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. You found me.
I don't know. I would swipe one way or the other for you. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that's a good thing. Or
I don't know. I don't know what way is the right way to swipe. But it really is. It's just like asking somebody how to find love. It's like that's kind of what it feels like to me. Is it's like the right one is out there, or maybe it's not out there yet. Maybe it's not on the market yet, but it's about to be on the market, or it's going to be on the market again, and to just kind of hold out and just wait. Obviously, this is don't be homeless in the process. But it also kind of, for us, it was like we had to sacrifice something to find what we wanted. We weren't going to find this house in your dad's neighborhood.
No.
Because those lots are measured in square feet and not
it's
in
$1 million.
acres. And it would be $1 million, for a house half this size.
Yeah.
And so our ultimate sacrifice that we made for this house was, we are just barely on the grid right here. Like, without Wi-Fi, we don't really have cell phone service.
No.
And that hill to get out of this neighborhood, I feel like those are the accessibility. That is the sacrifice that we made for the other things that were important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And, gas money and wear and tear in our cars are going to cost us money in the long run.
Yeah.
But I feel like those things are going to be cheaper than if we had spent $1 million on a house.
Yeah.
That would have been more accessible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Again, it's one of those things where we had to wait, and it's frustrating, and it's an emotional roller coaster, and it's so deflating and just defeating sometimes, but you have to play that game, unfortunately, and sometimes it is really emotional, and you're gonna get told no, and you're going to get your heart broken. But know that there's something better out there. Like, just know that that's not the only house that's going to check all your boxes. There's going to be another one.
A question to ask is, the house that we were looking for when we first started looking for houses, was that house the same house that we were looking for 2 years later?
Yeah.
Or do you think that our wants and needs, or maybe our expectations, had changed over those 2 years?
No. I think we questioned it in the middle because of our frustration. I think we questioned, and we were going to settle. And we almost did settle so many times. But ultimately, what we've come out with is exactly what we wanted at the very beginning.
How many times did we find ourselves on Zillow scrolling down to Florida?
Oh God, so many times.
And saying...
So many times. So my favorite place to vacation is Florida, because I'm obsessed with Disney. And we have family down there, and if I could, I would be there in a heartbeat. but I would have to take my whole family with me. But so many times we were just like, screw it, we're going to go to Florida. Just screw it. We'll go somewhere where it's going to be warm all the time, and we'll just start new careers. We'll figure it out. Who cares? Like, at least we'll be near the happiest place on earth. Happy wife, happy life. But no, I mean, ultimately, I mean, maybe someday, but I think we would have been really unhappy had we moved there, even with Disney. Because we wouldn't get what we wanted.
That's true. That's true. There would have been other sacrifices. And I sweat a lot in the winter, never mind in the summer in Florida.
Can you imagine? You would just be this like wet mess every night.
No.
You can sleep in your own bed. We'll get 2 twins.
No. Let's go eat lunch. I'm hungry.
What are we gonna have?
Oh.